There's no notification about it. Actually, yes, the recorded has started. So
Great, great. So let's do it one more time for the record. Thank you for joining in to our first SAP Garage session for 2023. And also a big thanks for making SAP Garage 2022 a huge success. We really achieved some good and great feedback from you. So we will try to, bring that into the sessions that we have planned for this year. And, you will see the inputs that you have given are incorporated in this session. So in our first SAP Garage for 2023, we have the mission featuring onboarding and first steps to SAP Cloud ALM. So as you know that for any application, the lifecycle management is a very crucial piece. You can't ignore this application lifecycle management. And to talk more on that topic, we have our expert, Daniel Yaramilo. So Daniel will be explaining what his role is about, how he helps the customers to adopt these solutions, get onboarded, and then go live with Calm solution in their landscape. So you will be hearing more from him in later during these sessions. If you have more questions, if you have doubts, concerns, please feel free to post them in the chat. The whole idea for SAP Garage to the colleagues who are joining for the first time is to pick a specific business use case every month. So we host SAP Garage on first Wednesday of every month, and we pick one specific business use case to solve your business challenges. Yeah, that is the whole idea for SAP Garage, and we bring in experts who can walk you through that mission, walk you through that use case to show you how a real-time implementation would look like. So they will be going through the systems, they will be doing some hands-on and demo as well. So feel free to, bring in your questions. Yep, great. So the mission that we'll be featuring today is, as you see the name, onboarding and first steps to SAP Cloud ALM, and links and all I'll be sharing just in a couple of minutes. But before that, the colleagues or the people who are in the session is obviously you can see me as the APJ host. I have my colleague Taurus who will be hosting the next round for this session later during the day for the Americas. And I have my expert and also a very dear friend of mine, Daniel. He's an essential advisor, but he'll also talk more about himself. And then obviously you who so some of my teammates are a bit sick, so apologies for those notifications. But yeah, and then obviously you are also there in the garage where you make this garage a lively forum where you bring in your solved problems. Our experts try to solve them or at least give you the direction so that you move ahead in your implementation journey. Yeah. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Daniel so that he can talk you about the mission, walk you through the demo, and show you the capabilities of Calm on top of BTP. So Daniel, over to you.
thank you so much, Gaurav, for this introduction and for the opportunity to share with our customers the main benefits of using SAP Discovery Center to discover the benefits of SAP Cloud ALM. I will share my screen. Please let me know when you are able to see it, please.
Loading for me. Yep.
Right. So let's get started with the concept about SAP Cloud ALM and the missions that we have built for you in SAP Discovery Center. So the SAP Cloud ALM missions embedded in SAP Discovery Center will provide you guidance and tools based on your SAP support contract to allow you to understand, learn, and explore the different benefits of SAP Cloud ALM. SAP Discovery Center is this single point of truth in which you will find these assets, these deliverables that will help you to leverage the assets, the support assets that are part of your SAP support contract in order to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. So by using these missions, you will be able to realize about the value of SAP Cloud ALM, which provides you extensive implementation and operation capabilities for cloud solutions and also for hybrid landscapes. Here, we also are innovating on the next generation enablement plans. As Gaurav mentioned before, my role in SAP is as a SAP Essential Advisor. I've been working in SAP on customer-facing roles by 6 years. And as part of my role, we are focused on customers that want to use the SAP support portfolio in order to achieve some goals like the adoption of SAP solutions, including SAP Cloud ALM. So by using these missions, you will be able to get a new experience on these enablement plans that are part of your SAP support contract, overall of Enterprise Support Cloud Editions contract. And these methodologies will allow you to get started with SAP Cloud ALM and other solutions, right? In this case, we are going to focus on SAP Cloud ALM, and then let's see a little brief overview about the tool. SAP Cloud ALM is a new brand tool that was released in August 2020. And this new brand tool was totally rethought and new designed to build a modern cloud, to build a new experience on the application lifecycle management. The tool it was thought for cloud-centric customers. However, as it was mentioned before, hybrid landscapes can be managed and monitored by using this tool, and it also supports all the components of the intelligent enterprise. So the consumption of this platform is immediate. You will start the provisioning process on SAP for me, and by follow the directions provided in the SAP Discovery Center missions, you will be able to get your tenant provisioned, to onboard your users, and then to assign roles and connect your landscape to use the monitoring and implementation capabilities that are embedded within the platform. The platform is really cost efficient for you because the provisioning process is really simple. As the tool is a software as a service product, the provisioning process is through an URL link in which you receive access to your Cloud ALM Launchpad. And this process is really, really simple, and there are no extensive or expensive uh, installations effort. The installation phase is effortless, and also the configuration part is really simple. The platform is ready to be configured, and the configurations that you will have to do are really simple. So uh, this is a new way to manage the application lifecycle of your SAP solutions. Now, it is important to mention that the usage of SAP Cloud ALM is included within your SAP Enterprise Support Cloud Editions contract. So, if you have a SAP Enterprise Support Cloud Edition contract, you are entitled to use SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, let's take a look on the main capabilities of SAP Cloud ALM. As it was mentioned before, the platform will allow you to manage the application lifecycle of your SAP solutions during implementation and operation phases. During the implementation phases, you will be able to track the progress of your projects within SAP Cloud ALM. The platform has embedded analytics, which will allow you to have a traceability of all the main facts of your project, including processes, which are also embedded within the platform. There are some templates of processes that are embedded in the platform, and that you can and that are ready to be used in order to accelerate the fit to standard workshops, for example. By using these embedded processes and also the embedded task templates, you will be able to accelerate your projects, and you can also document your own processes in SAP Cloud ALM. Another advantage that the platform has is that you can carry out tests, either manually or automated tests can be carried out within the platform. And you can also orchestrate all the test planning within SAP Cloud ALM. You can document all the defects that can come up during the test processes, and you can also monitor the changes and deployments that you will release within your tenants. So by the moment, all the platform is only able to monitor the transports. You are not able to release the transports from SAP Cloud ALM, but you are able to monitor the progress on the deployment of such transports. So on the other hand, we have other, once you have implemented that SAP solution, or maybe if you are during an operation phase with a SAP solution, you have also, you can also take advantage of the operations capabilities of SAP Cloud ALM. As we can see here, the platform allows you to gather metrics, and also, and based on these metrics, you can gather information about the business processes that are currently running within your system. All standard processes can be monitored within SAP Cloud ALM. Also, integration and exceptions can be monitored, the user experience, jobs, and the technical components performance can be monitored in SAP Cloud ALM. With this information, you can process the data that you are gathering through the monitoring, and you can do something with this information. You can either start alerts or maybe notifications to let your users know that something is coming up during the monitorings in your solutions. And with that, you can proactively prevent some issues that can affect the business continuity. The main objective is to reduce the total cost of ownership of your SAP solutions, and by using these monitorings, you can prevent this kind of issues, and also you can react to these issues in an effective way. So you can also monitor the business service management. As you may know, for SAP Cloud Solutions, there are some service level agreements that have been set from SAP by contract. So you can monitor these service level agreements of your SAP Cloud systems, and also you can access to the event calendar, which allow you to send some notifications in case that there could be unscheduled maintenance or maybe an unexpected outage. You can notify your users about these kind of events through this event calendar. Okay, so these are the main capabilities of SAP Cloud ALM. The platform is also able to track the service delivery. If you are familiar with services like the continuous quality checks or maybe the premium engagements engagement services, you will be able to see what are the main benefits of SAP Cloud ALM to track the service, these services delivery, because there are some preparation steps that need to be fulfilled before the service delivery. And then once we have fulfilled these prerequisites, we are able to receive the service, right? So we can monitor all these processes also in SAP Cloud ALM, along with the operation and the implementation of SAP solutions. So let's go to a demo of how you can navigate on SAP Discovery Center to find all the resources that you will need to get started with these capabilities that we have reviewed in the previous slides. So I will go to SAP Discovery Center. As you can see here, we have the main page in which we have the login button. We can start our journey.
Daniel,
Exactly. Mhm.
Daniel.
Uh,
Uh,
sorry.
okay, now we see your Chrome. We were seeing the slide deck, so I thought to just to notify.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think that you should be able to see my screen with the Sub Discovery Center
Yes,
webpage, right? Okay.
yes.
And maybe there was
Okay.
a little delay on that. I apologize about it. However, well, as you can see here in my workspace section, I have already started the missions that we have created for SAP Cloud ALM. We have three missions that are part of this set. And first of all, we have the onboarding and first steps mission. The onboarding and first steps mission will provide you all the assets that you will need to be aware of in order to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. The requesting process, the initial configuration is covered by this mission. And then once we have completed the first steps to get started with SAP Cloud ALM, we can start the other missions depending on the scope that we have. You can get started with the operations part or the implementations part, depending on your needs. And well, to access to the missions, you can select the missions icon with the little rocket. And here in search bar, you can enter SAP Cloud ALM to find all the SAP Cloud ALM related missions. So here you will find the onboarding and first steps one, the getting started with implementation and operation capabilities, right? So I have set the favorite mark here in each of the missions that we have created, and let's see in detail the content of each mission, right? So in order to start the mission, you will see this icon which says start mission. As I told before, I have already started the mission. That's why I have this icon. Go to the started mission, and by going to the started mission, I am able to display this overview section in which I have the opportunity to add more members from my team to track the mission progress. As a best practice, we recommend that only one mission can be started by each team that will be involved in this in the usage of the missions in order uh, to allow all the team to track the progress on the mission completion, right? So here you will be able to add the team members. It is important to mention that before you add a team member, this team member needs to make their first login in SAP Discovery Center, as we did at the beginning of the demo. In the top right corner, the user just click on logon, enter the user credentials, and then the first login is covered, right? And then once they have completed this, you can add them in SAP Discovery in the SAP Discovery Center mission, right? So another advantages that we have here in the overview section is that you can see the mission scope, the use case. It will provide you visibility about the main objectives of this mission, which are to provide you some insights about SAP Cloud ALM in order to allow you to get started with the platform. So here we have the concept of the platform, as we were mentioning before. This is a new a new brand tool that was designed for cloud-centric customers to help on the application lifecycle management. The current proposition and challenge is that you can hear about SAP Cloud ALM and that you want to get started with SAP with the platform, and that you can uncover its business value. Okay, as it was mentioned before, the usage of this platform is part of the SAP support contract, the Enterprise Support Cloud Edition support contract, and you are entitled to use the platform if you have this kind of support contract, right? So please provide us the opportunity to show you how you can take advantage of this platform by using this mission. And well, the outcome that we want to provide to you is that after the completion, you will be able to have your SAP Cloud ALM tenant with the basic setup, and that you can use either the implementation or the operation capabilities. The solution to get started with the SAP Cloud ALM tenant, how you can get there to achieve this outcome. Well, we are going to provide you visibility of all the assets that are part of your SAP support contract that can help you to achieve this solution. The usage of these deliverables of these resources is also included within your SAP support contract. So all of the assets that we are going to recommend you through this mission are part of your SAP support contract and you do not have to pay any additional cost to use them. Okay, so all of this is included. Okay, so let's see a little bit here, an overview about how the platform is provisioned to the customers. As it was mentioned before, you get your tenant provisioned through the platform SAP for Me. SAP for Me, if you don't know it, is the single point of truth that allows you to encounter all the SAP support applications that you can need in order to manage your landscape. So by using SAP for Me, you will be able to get your SAP Cloud ALM tenant. The process to start the provisioning is so simple, and it can be done just by clicking in a little button which says start provisioning, and then you need to fill out a formula and you can receive your SAP Cloud ALM tenant. The tenant can also be requested from the SAP support portal. As you can see here, we have some the assets that can help you in SAP support portal to request your tenant, to get the idea, to try out the capabilities of SAP Cloud ALM by using demo tenant, and you can also request SAP Cloud ALM from this section in the SAP support portal. The access to this SAP support portal section is also embedded within the mission. That's why we strongly recommend you to start the mission in order to have all the assets in one hand, because it will be quicker and easier for you to find all the assets that you will need to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, here we have some overview about the steps also that we have to carry out to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. I am having some issues here to go to this image, sorry. But well, I wanted to show you a diagram that shows you the steps to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. It's in the third bullet here. However, I am not able to take to it.
Yeah. Daniel, can you try once closing it and then opening?
Well, I think that, yeah, now we are able to. Okay,
Yep.
so here we can see what's the process that we need to follow in order to have the first steps with SAP Cloud ALM. First of all, we have to request the tenant. We need then to onboard the users in the identity authentication service, and then we will have to assign the roles directly in SAP Cloud ALM tenant for the users that we have created in the identity authentication service. Then we connect our landscape to SAP Cloud ALM, and we can carry out some optional setup in case that we are going to use some tools like the central business configuration, and we want to integrate these kind of tools to SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, so let's see in the project board how it looks like. First of all, the structure of this project board is divided in four columns, as you can see here. First of all, we have the overview section in which you will encounter and you will find all of the deliverables that are proposed by SAP support to help you find all the information related to SAP Cloud ALM. First of all, I would like to start from this deliverable, which is the expert guided implementations. And well, this expert guided implementation deliverable is a workshop session which allow you to get in contact with a sub support engineer that will have a multi-day remote session with you to touch some points related to SAP Cloud ALM. The usage of this deliverable is included within your SAP support contract with no additional cost. And you have to use this deliverable, you have to fulfill the prerequisites that we have provided here in the mission card. And once you have registered to the SAP Learning Hub platform Enterprise Support Edition, you will be able to find the deliverable by clicking in the hyperlink with name here in the action section. Okay, so by clicking in here, you will be able to see what's the scope of this deliverable, of this enablement deliverable. Here we will provide you the direct access to the expert guided implementation to get registered to this session. As we can see here, the purpose of this multi-day session is to present to you the capabilities of SAP Cloud ALM and to help you understand the benefits of using these capabilities. So by clicking here in the view registration, for example, you will be able to see all the available classes that are available for you. These classes are set in different languages, as you can see here, and they are available for different time zones. So you can get registered to them by clicking in this button, and you will receive all the Outlook files to set aside your time and to receive and these Outlook files will also contain the Zoom links that you will need to join the sessions during these 5 days. So please consider to take advantage of this kind of deliverables because they are part of your sub-support contract and they put you in touch with some SAP experts that can guide you on your journey with SAP Cloud ALM. Okay,
Uh,
but to
Daniel,
please go ahead,
just to
Laura.
yeah, just to just to stop you there because there was this question, how is this licensed from Manish? So I think he was referring to the licensing package for this Calm solution. So as you just now said that this is included in the sub support package, can you please mention a bit more that on the licensing of this Calm, how it is done?
Yeah, of course. Actually, well, as it was mentioned before, the usage of SAP Cloud ALM is included within the SAP support contract. So if you have a SAP Enterprise Support a Cloud Editions contract, you are entitled to use SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, with no extra cost, you don't have to pay something to use it. You can get your tenant through the provisioning process that is described in SAP Discovery Center mission, onboarding and first steps to SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, so if you don't know what's the your sub support contract level, you can contact your account manager from SAP to know what's your SAP support level. However, if you have any SAP Cloud subscription, automatically you have to, well, you receive the SAP Enterprise Support Cloud Edition contract as support baseline, right? So if you have any cloud solution, you automatically have a SAP Enterprise Support Cloud Editions contract. Okay, there are other levels of support like Preferred Success, for example, but the baseline of Preferred Success is Enterprise Support Cloud Edition. Hence, it grants you access to SAP Cloud ALM, even though you have Preferred Success. Okay, so if you have any cloud solution, you are provided this support level, and then you have access to SAP Cloud ALM. I don't know if this answered the question, or are there any comments about this?
Great. So Manish reacted with a thumbs up. So I think this question is answered, Daniel.
Okay, perfect. So
Uh,
here in the, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
no, I mean, the next part of the question, I thought they are both related. So I thought uh, the question is SAP can it SAP Concur implementation, or can it be linked to SuccessFactors or GV? Richa, if you can elaborate what GV is, maybe Daniel can provide you more insight. But yeah, can
Yes.
SAP Cal do Concur implementation, and it be linked to SuccessFactors?
Yes, actually, you can carry out all your project documentation for SAP SuccessFactors implementation projects in SAP Cloud ALM. Actually, first, once you receive your tenant, you will be able to use the implementation capabilities. There are no further configurations to be done in order to use the implementation capabilities. I will show you here what's the process to request SAP Cloud ALM. As part of the mission, we have access to this documentation, which is stored in the SAP Help portal. So once you have access to the onboarding and first steps mission, you can select the card requesting my SAP Cloud ALM tenant, and you will be able to see here what's the requesting process to have your tenant ready. Okay, so here we have the target user that need to carry out these steps, the outcome to get the SAP Cloud ALM tenant provisioned, and what are the actions that you need to carry out in order to get this done. So by clicking in the hyperlink, you will be able to see what's the requesting process of SAP Cloud ALM. As you can see here, we have some prerequisites that need to be fulfilled before we start the provisioning process. We have to have an end user with the role edit cloud data in SAP for me. If you don't know if you have this authorization, you can go to here to manage user authorizations, and you will be able to see how you can be granted these authorizations. Once you have the authorizations, you will be able to enter to SAP for me by clicking in this hyperlink, and you will be able to fill out and you will be able to press or select this button, Start Provisioning, to start the provisioning process of SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, this is really, really simple. So then once you have selected Start Provisioning, you will be asked to fill out this formula in which you will have the region. You will have to select a region in which the SAP Cloud ALM tenant will be stored. There is only one region available, which is the. Then you enter the subdomain, and this is so important. If you already have an identity authentication service with SAP, this identity authentication service can be linked to your SAP Cloud ALM tenant. If you don't have an identity authentication service, automatically you will be provided an identity authentication service without extra cost. And this new identity authentication service will be linked to your SAP Cloud ALM tenant. So once you have fill out and selected and provided the information requested here, you can click in submit, and the process gets to the status provisioning triggered. Once we have completed the provisioning process, you will receive access to three systems: SAP Cloud ALM per se, which is the front end, the launchpad of SAP Cloud ALM applications. You will receive access to the SAP Business Technology Platform, to a global account and sub account for SAP Cloud ALM. And you will receive access also to the identity authentication service, either for the one that you have for your existing identity authentication service, or for the new one that was created. Okay, so basically this is the landscape of SAP Cloud ALM once you receive your tenant. And here I will show you how you can access to the content of SAP Cloud ALM, and maybe this will totally answer the previous question. Okay, so here in the in the um, in the overview section, we have the sub support portal card, and here we have access to the section of SAP Cloud ALM in the SAP support portal. Here we have access to the public demo tenant system, and here we can see how we can what we will see once we receive access to SAP Cloud ALM. So I will show you how it looks like. Okay, so once you have get your tenant, and once you have been notified that your tenant is ready to be used, you will be able as an administrator to access to SAP Cloud ALM, and to use the implementation capability. So in case that you have, for example, a success factors project to be carried out, you can select the projects and set up application, and you can create directly your project. Okay, so by clicking here in the button create, you will be able to select the task template, for example, for your implementation. We have here one for success factors implementation, so we can name our project. We can here set the status of our project and the current phase. We can set the time boxes. We can onboard our teams. We can assign roles. We can document the system landscape. All the URL tenants can be documented here in SAP Cloud ALM. If we are going to go to have the go live in different phases, we can set it up here in Cloud ALM. And we can also select the group of processes that will be involved in our project. So by clicking here in scopes, we will be able to create and select the scopes depending on the scope of our project, right? So for example, we have here success factors, employee central, learning, and for example, onboarding. We can save this information. Sorry. We need to name the scope. We can save it. And we will be able to see here the scope items that we have selected by clicking in here in process scoping. And here you will be able to see the detail of each scope item, right? You can turn it on or turn it off depending on your needs, and you can refer to the information of each of these processes here in SAP Cloud ALM. So the solution process flow is also included here. You can create requirements or create user stories depending on your needs. And all these steps and all this information is also embedded within SAP Discovery Center. This is the main advantage of using the missions, that you can have access to the information about how to get started with all the capabilities. So in case that you are interested in start with an implementation project, you can go to the implementation mission and explore the project board. So here you will have some assets to start with an overview about SAP Cloud ALM for implementation capabilities, and then you will find, for example, the project implement the project implementation resources that you will need to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. We have embedded videos. We have provided here the documentation that you will need to get started with the project setup, for example, and all the steps that I have shown you within the demo are covered within the documentation that we have included in SAP Discovery Center. So this is your single point of truth to get started with the platform. To define a scope, we have here a step-by-step video that you can refer to in order to select and create the scopes. We have here what are the supported solutions for in which we can select and create the scopes, because this is also an important part. Not all the SAP solutions are covered by the SAP Cloud ALM. Actually, here in the setup and administration guide, we have a section which is the supported solution section, in which we can see what are the sub-solutions that are currently covered by SAP Cloud ALM. For example, if we select SAP SuccessFactors, we will see here what are the implementation and operation capabilities available for SuccessFactors, right? So if we select implementation, we will see that, for example, process management is covered, task management is covered, requirement management and test management is covered, right? So please refer to this section in order to see what are the capabilities that are supported for each sub-solution in SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, actually, this information is accessible also in SAP Discovery Center. You can go to the overview part and see what are the supported solutions by clicking or by exploring the information that is covered here in the documentation. Okay, so we also have some access to other related missions in case that you are interested in exploring, for example, now the operation capabilities. You can also see here what's the scope of each of these implementation capabilities. So we have an overview about every operation capability, as you can see here. You are provided an overview about all the operation capabilities. You are also provided the scope of each of these capabilities. This is really important because here is explained what are the KPIs that are covered in the monitorings, for example, and well, you in this way you can see what's the scope of each monitoring specifically for the sub solutions that are supported. So this content is really useful for you in order to understand and see what is covered in SAP Cloud ALM and how I can set up these configurations, right? So please try to explore all the content you can to track your progress, or to mark your progress. You can set the cards as complete once you have referred and explored the content that we have proposed to you. And in this way, you will have you will be able to track the progress on the completion of the mission content, right? So I would like to go back to the onboarding and first steps mission to show you a little bit more about what's the process to get the basic setup of your tenant. Once we have requested the tenant, we will have to also to onboard the users in the identity authentication service. As it was mentioned before, as part of the provisioning process of SAP Cloud ALM, you will not only be provided access to SAP Cloud ALM Launchpad, but also you will provided access to the identity authentication service. So in this video that we have here, you will be shown what's the process that needs to be carried out in order to onboard the users in SAP Cloud ALM. You will receive two emails once you get access to SAP Cloud ALM. Actually, you can open the video directly from SAP Cloud ALM in YouTube, and you can explore all the content directly in the YouTube platform to see the full screen of SAP Cloud ALM. So as it was mentioned before, you will be granted access to these two emails. I don't know if someone has a comment, or because I heard a voice. Is there a
No,
question or a comment?
there are questions, Daniel, in the chat, so we can, let them post the
Okay,
question in the chat, and post your session, we can take them.
okay, okay. So
But
well,
participants, yeah, if you have
mhm.
participants, if you have any questions that needs an urgent answer, please unmute yourself and ask.
So, well, here we have the two emails that are sent to you once the provisioning process of SAP Cloud ALM is completed. As you can see here, you will be sent this first email, which contain the URL of the tenant, and you will also receive the email which will allow you to activate your user in the identity authentication tenant. So the users, the admin or the person who requested the tenant will receive these two emails. And the first step is to activate the identity authentication tenant user. Okay, so by performing these steps, you will be able to activate your user in the identity authentication tenant. As it was mentioned before, the usage of this identity authentication tenant is part of your of the usage of SAP Cloud ALM and does not have extra cost. Okay, so here in the identity authentication tenant, you will be able to create the users that will be interacting with SAP Cloud ALM. So we do not create users directly in SAP Cloud ALM. We map them from the identity authentication service, okay? And you will see it here. Uh, we are going to create a user here in SAP Cloud in the identity authentication service. The user will be notified by email that he has to activate his user or her user in the identity authentication service. Once they have done this, you will be able to map the user or to add the users directly in SAP Cloud ALM by using the user management application. Then you will be able to add the created user in the identity authentication service to SAP Cloud ALM by performing these steps. So as you can see here, we have all the steps that we need to get started with the users onboarding and and for the role assignment to these users, right? So that's another advantage that we have from using the missions, that we have these embedded videos and that we are guided step by step on the um, the phases that we need to cover in order to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. First, I request my tenant, then I onboard my users, I assign roles, and I create also a component to communicate SAP Cloud ALM other with my subsystems, right? So for example, I have also here information to create my Cloud ALM API key. By selecting this hyperlink, I will be redirected to the SAP Help portal, in which I have a step-by-step video that will guide me on how to create this API component for SAP Cloud ALM. This API component will be a prerequisite to connect SAP Cloud ALM with the rest of my landscape. So here in SAP Cloud ALM, I will be able to also to see what are the prerequisites that I need to fulfill in order to connect my landscape. Here I have the target users, the outcome, the prerequisites, and also the information that I need to refer to in order to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. So, for example, there are prerequisites to connect an S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition system. Here, you are told what are the prerequisites and what are also the system prerequisites on the S/4HANA side that you need to cover in order to connect your system. So you have everything here. You don't need to stay looking for the information in several points or channels. You have everything in the missions. You can have this as an starter point to refer to all the support channels that you will need to refer to in order to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, so for the service capabilities, as it was mentioned before, you can track the service delivery on SAP Cloud ALM. You can access to the service expert portal and see what's the scope of SAP Cloud ALM on the usage and the monitoring of the delivery of enterprise support services and premium engagement services. Okay. So once you have completed this, you can refer also to the optional setup section. So in case that you need to integrate, for example, central business configuration with SAP Cloud ALM, here you have all the resources that you need to know in order to get this done. You can also find information about how to activate the transport management capabilities for S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition, and also how to integrate cloud transport management service with Cloud ALM, how to integrate the test automation tool, how to activate the operation automation setup. Here are the procedures in case that you have this kind of products like SAP Workflow Management, Intelligent Robot Processing, or SAP Automation Pilot. You can integrate these services to SAP Cloud ALM in order to create these workflows that will allow you to carry out these steps that we have here. You will be able to process the information that you will gather from the monitoring, and you can activate automated operation workflows that will allow you to address the issues that can come up from the information that you are gathering in SAP Cloud ALM. Okay. So once you have this done, the main recommendation is that you refer to either the implementation or the operation mission, and that you explore the content depending on your needs. So, for example, if you want to activate the monitoring of technical components in your system, you can refer here to the health monitoring section in the operations mission, and you can see an overview about what is covered. Then you can see what specific components are covered in SAP Cloud ALM. For example, if you want to monitor the components of an S/4HANA Private Cloud Edition system, you can monitor in SAP Cloud ALM the above system resources, the HANA database, the hosts, uh, and you can see here what's the scope of this. And then if you go back to the mission, you can go to the next card, you can mark the previous card as completed, and you can here see what are the steps to get this monitoring done, right? For example, here you will see how to activate the monitoring, what are the prerequisites that I need, and so on, to configure the push data collection to SAP Cloud ALM. Okay, so that's why we strongly recommend to use the missions, because they are self-service consuming, and they provide you all what you need in order to get started with SAP Cloud ALM. So I think that we are done with the time. I don't know, Gaurav, I have covered everything from my side. I don't know if there are further questions.
Yeah.
But well, first of all, I would like to thank for the attention of the audience. And please, if you want, we can check the questions or
Yeah.
comments.
So there are some questions, Daniel, and first of all, thank you so much for presenting this session. I'm sure it has helped the audience to learn more about Calm solution and what are its offerings. So on the offerings part, Daniel, there was a follow-up question also
Mhm.
towards a bit of roadmap from Nash, that is Concur implementation also in the roadmap with SAP Calm.
Um, Actually, yes, is in the roadmap. However, Uh, you can manage any project in SAP Cloud ALM, right? You can document manually the tasks, the processes in SAP Cloud ALM by using, for example, the process authoring. You can document all the processes that will be involved in the Concur implementation. You can massively upload the manual tasks that will be done during this process. However, in the future, yes, it is planned that the task templates, for example, that will be available for Concur implementation projects, and also the scopes documentation, which it is something which is the most valuable from SAP Cloud ALM to support the implementation projects, right? But by the moment, as a workaround, if you want to manage your Concur project in SAP Cloud ALM, you can do it, but you will need to document, for example, the tasks manually or the processes manually, and you can get guidance from the SAP Cloud ALM for implementation Discovery Center mission to do this. As you can see here, we have, for example, how to document a custom process, how to massively upload your tasks in SAP Cloud ALM, how to discompose requirements into user stories and tasks. So you can get guidance on how to document your project in SAP Cloud ALM, even though the solution is not yet supported, fully supported. And I mean with this that it does not have the pre-charged information like the tasks and the processes, but you can manage, and also you can document your test cases in SAP Cloud ALM. Actually, for this Concur implementation process, you for example can document manually your test cases and execute them in SAP Cloud ALM. So yes, um, this is something that can be done, but in the future we expect that all the pre-charged content about tasks and processes can be available for Concur implementations.
Great. Thanks, Daniel. That looks really promising. On the usability part, we have a question which says that the application has some existing monitoring and ALM capabilities. How does Calm will integrate, or will it need to be done separately?
Actually, well, the implementation, the operation, sorry, capabilities for monitoring are not available for all SAP solutions. As we mentioned before, we need to check what are the supported capabilities for operations for each system. However, in order to activate the monitoring in SAP Cloud ALM, you need to carry out some configurations that are provided here in the missions, right? For example, if we go to the operations mission, we will be able to see in the project board what are the setup steps that I need to carry out to activate the monitoring for business processes, integrations, technical components, real user experience. And first of all, well, I need to check in here what are the supported solutions. If the solution that I want to monitor is listed here, it means that I can monitor. And then, the recommendation is that you can check all the content in each of these cards, and then that you can follow the steps described in the setup section. So here we have the prerequisites that need to be fulfilled in order to start the business process monitoring configuration, for example. And then we have here per solution what would be the steps that you would need to carry out to integrate this monitoring in or activate this monitoring in SAP Cloud ALM for the solutions that are supported. I don't know if this answered the question, or maybe we can clarify
At
with
least to
further comments.
Yeah, at least to me it did. But Nagendra, if you have further, insights or further asks to it, please put it in the chat. Uh, the next question, Daniel, is both solution manager. So this is a kind of a feature parity I see. Both solution manager and SAP CALM supports S4HANA systems. What would be the use case to use either one of them? If you can share some insights on that, Daniel.
Of course, actually, the main difference and the main benefits of using SAP Cloud ALM is that SAP Cloud ALM is effortless on the installation and in the installation and configuration process. SAP Solution Manager is an application lifecycle management system from SAP that is more taught for on-prem solutions. And as we have seen here, Cloud ALM can cover not only cloud-centric landscapes, but also hybrid solutions. If we see here in the supported solutions section, you will see that, for example, S/4HANA on-premise can be connected to SAP Cloud ALM, and also other SAP NetWeaver application server systems, on-prem systems, and also the business suite solutions can be connected to SAP Cloud ALM. So the main difference between SAP Cloud ALM and SAP Solution Manager is the effort that it represents on the installation and the configuration. And in this part, SAP Cloud ALM is easier and effortless on the provisioning process and on the configuration process. However, it is important to mention that for the change and deployment capabilities, SAP Solution Manager has more available capabilities than SAP Cloud ALM. However, we are planning in the future to improve, to enhance these capabilities so that you will be able to maybe release transports from SAP Cloud ALM and not only track these transports, right? So that would be the main differences. You can use either of them depending on your landscape overall. If you have, for example, 70% of SAP on-premise solutions and 30% of SAP Cloud solutions. Maybe if you already have a SAP Solution Manager system running and installed, and you have the scenarios configured, you maybe can keep using SAP Solution Manager. But if you are looking for a new application lifecycle management alternative to manage your solutions, you should consider SAP Cloud ALM because, first of all, in this specific case that I am proposing, if you have, for example, 70% of your landscape on-prem and 30% in the cloud, and you don't have any application lifecycle management solution, you can explore SAP Cloud ALM and maybe connect SAP Cloud ALM to your whole landscape in order to monitor all the application lifecycle, right? And as it was mentioned before, is effortless and more cost efficient for you because an implementation of SAP Solution Manager represents a lot of knowledge, a consulting knowledge, a lot of effort, and is more expensive than the provisioning process of SAP Cloud ALM and the configuration process. So that would be the main difference.
Thanks, Daniel. Very well said and very well put. So I think that also answers the question. I don't see any further unanswered questions in the chat. So participants, if you have more questions, please put it in the chat. Uh, Daniel, I would like to take the share for the moment. Okay, there is one question. Can we check the capability in Discovery Center test automation or some Tricentis automation capabilities?
Yes, actually, we have here in the mission related content about it. So here, for example, we have um, some examples about the capabilities or the test automation capabilities that can be integrated with SAP Cloud ALM. It is important to mention that the integration with Tricentis is not yet available for with SAP Cloud ALM. But for example, if you are running an S4HANA cloud in the public cloud implementation project, you can follow the steps described here in the video to integrate the test automation tool with SAP Cloud ALM. And also you can follow the steps to integrate the central business configuration to SAP Cloud ALM. So the usage of these external components, I mean the documentation to integrate these external components to SAP Cloud ALM is also provided in the missions. So you just need to follow the steps describing each of the mission cards to refer to this documentation and to get this done. Okay, so this can cover all your needs in case that you want to integrate these kind of capabilities with SAP Cloud ALM. Actually, it is important to mention that here in the What's New section, we have access to the SAP Roadmap Explorer, which will provide you visibility about what's the plan of SAP to release new functionalities for SAP Cloud ALM. So please review this content in detail because here you will find the dates and the times in which SAP will release these new capabilities. And we are thinking or is thought that the integration with Tricentis can be available uh, shortly in the future. Here in the Roadmap Explorer is specified when it could happen. Okay, so please refer to this content and as well, this is available in the mission in the What's New section overview column. Okay,
Great.
I don't know if this answers the
Thanks, Daniel.
question.
Yep. Great. So let me quickly take over the session. And I think
Okay.
Daniel has shown most of the parts that was, beneficial for you. But what I would like to highlight before we close the session is how do you land up to Discovery Center? I think the links have already been shared, but if you want to explore more such scenarios, just go to your browser of your choice and search for SAP Discovery Center. This should take you to the SAP Discovery Center homepage. And there you could explore the use cases, the one that Daniel showed, and more use cases that might be related to your business scenario, plus the services that uh, are available within PTP. So mission catalog is somewhere where you could explore all the missions. Service catalog is where you explore the services like Calm that was shown today. Uh, just search for Calm or your specific use case. Daniel has already shown that to you, so I won't, spend much time on that. But if you want to see other onboarding missions that you have published or you can use, you can explore this section. So today's highlight was getting started with Calm, implementation and operations. So that was the today's highlight. Great. So with that, we have more upcoming sessions planned for you later today as well. We have a repeat session, what Daniel talked about for the Americas time zone. So if you want to revisit the session, if you want to share the session with your colleagues based out in the other time zones, please ask them to register to our SAP Garage Series 2023. But along with Garage, we have more sessions to enable you and adopt SAP Cloud solutions. We have customer value network events, virtual as well as on-site. That's the charter you can see on this deck. So please feel free to register yourself and join them. That's the calendar view. On first Wednesday of every 1 month, we host SAP Garage. We bring in experts like Daniel and others to showcase one specific business use cases. On 3rd of Wednesday, we showcase SAP Screen Personas. 3rd of Thursday, we showcase SAP Fiori. 3rd of Tuesday, we showcase SAP BTP Customer Value Network Forum. And then on 2nd of Tuesday, we host SAP Business Process Automation. So that's the calendar view. If you want to take screenshots, please do so. But we'll be sharing the recordings as well as the slides in the email that will reach out to you post the session. That was all from my side. Thank you for joining today's session. I know we are slightly overboard, but it was necessary to answer your questions. Let's take another minute. If you have last minute questions, please post in the chat or unmute yourself so that Daniel can take them. If not, thank you so much for joining today and wish you a good time ahead. But let's stay for another minute, Daniel. Is that okay with you?
Yes, of course.
Great,
Perfect.
great. And yeah, another point, as you have reiterated, starting the missions are free of cost. So feel free to start the mission or share the mission with your tech friends and family. Mm.
Yes, please help us to promote the usage of these missions because they are self-consuming and you have everything on them. So they will be very beneficial for you. They are the single point of truth that you need to refer to the first steps to SAP Cloud ALM.
Rightly said, Daniel. Great. So I think there are no last minute questions. So again, a big thanks. These sessions are not free. We will have to pay attention. Absolutely. Very rightly said. Very rightly said. Great. So hope to see you again in the next sessions as well. And thank you for attending this session. Thanks, Daniel, for taking out time to present. Have
Thanks
a
to
good
you,
day ahead,
Gaurav.
everyone.
Thanks for the opportunity and have a nice day to all the people
Yep.
involved. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.